All right, guys, welcome back this morning. Figured I'd let y'all wake up bright and early to a Squarebody repair school / reminder of some things you may have forgotten about the 8, or some would still argue 10-door Suburban. So we did a little something yesterday you guys hadn't seen yet, but we teased you with it in one of the shorts. Full video hopefully will come Monday if it gets edited. But this thing has been acting a little funny recently. Kind of spitting, sputtering, just do it out of nowhere. So if you're mechanically inclined, and that was kind of why I started this video, should back up. So just remember, guys, if you're gonna own an old school truck, whether it's a Squarebody, a Ford, a Dodge, Nissan, Toyota, doesn't really matter what it is, you're going to have to work on it. So a little bit of hands-on goes a long way. Also, a nice Craftsman or Milwaukee tool set in the trunk or bed or toolbox is also gonna be your friend. So just before we went on a trip with this truck recently, it started acting funny. Never gave a minute's trouble as far as that goes. But you'd get to going, and all of a sudden she would just start and missing and acting funny, and then correct itself. Well, most people say, oh, spark plug wire, maybe a little bad fuel, simple tune-up. So of course, us, even as mechanics, I don't quite consider myself a mechanic any longer because I don't particularly care to turn a wrench, but would say, tune-up. And we did. We threw a tune-up on it. Seemed to be fine. Everything was good. Drive along again, 15, 20, 30 minutes in, pop, and then we'll just go back to good. So the next thing you're going to think is, okay, might have a broke rocker arm or a broke spring. So pop valve cover off, make sure everything's good. Of course, you could do a compression test, leak down. There's other ways to test it, but that's what we did. Still fine. So jump in and drive it. And again, we knew this trip was coming up. Drove, just fine. Don't know what's going on. So throw a bag of tools in the back. One of the things, because it is mechanical, so maybe it's a fuel pump. Been a long time since had to replace a mechanical fuel pump. And for those of you guys that are learning on the educational side, this right here is the mechanical part. What pumps that? So that's basically like if you got an old school, like over there, well, you could have an old well pump on it, like a physical hand pump. It pumps, gets prime, then sends the water out. Well, this, no different. This rides on the camshaft right there. Camshaft has a lobe, pumps it. As it pumps, pulls fuel in. Oh, there we go. Fuel coming out. Pulls fuel in through this little hose here. One's a vent. Then it pumps it out to the carburetor. You can see that's got an AN fitting on it. We'd already replaced that because, lo and behold, as soon as we finished the build process, the day we wanted to pull it out of the shop, it started puking fuel out. Reminded us real quick how these old school vehicles are temperamental. So the line runs from the back of the truck forward, from the tank up to here. Now this is where most people do away with this. Most people go with an electric fuel pump. Electric fuel pump is great. Electric fuel pump's needed if you're fuel injected. But on a carbureted motor, small block or big block, they really only need 6 to 10 psi of fuel pressure. So if you put an electric pump in line, we could probably put 40 electric fuel pumps in line on this truck. But if you go put an electric fuel pump in line, then you got to have a fuel pressure regulator, and you got to set it. You got to make sure it doesn't stick. When it sticks, doesn't necessarily mean it sticks closed, sticks open. We've got multiple fuel pressure regulators on the car. Obviously one for nitrous, one for the motor, and you're totally always messing with them. Even the good ones that Daniel can get through the performance side of the shop, you're still always monkeying with them. So we've opted to go back with a regular fuel pump again. A better one, think we went with Holly, but it is going to fix the problem. Well, we'll let you know shortly if it fixes the problem. We're getting ready to go on a ride, pretty long ride today, do a car show, but we hope that it fixes the problem. There's really not much else left, so that is the good news. Again, if you are hands-on, is these motors are mechanical. As long as they have fuel, fire, and air, they're going to run. You can start up, and we haven't done it on a car motor in a while, but as far as boats go, one of our good friends has a stand, and we actually fire the boat motors up on a stand and actually show you guys that you can start it with a fuel can, a battery, and you will have air because of the air filter. So anyway, for you guys that are new, there's the big old Suburban. It is 1 ton converted. It does have the Davis off-road steering and track bar system. Because it was 2-wheel drive, it does have a custom cross member. This truck was not 4x4, so it has been converted properly. These axles do have, the rear has a, I think the rear has a Detroit and the front has a air locker. And we are on about 14 inches of lift, 40-inch tires. And the stance is pretty perfect. You guys know we've been playing with that because it would drop in the back, then drop in the front. This thing's heavy, so as it has settled in, we've had to do a lot of playing with it. So what you see currently are 40-inch tires, 16-inch wide, deep offset wheels, and best we can figure about 14 inches of lift. And I'll remind some of you guys in the back that talk about block. There is no block. Yes, at one time there was a block. There is currently no block. And a custom sway bar. Why? Because as long as a school bus, and it does have some sway. Oh, we believed it was going to have some sway, so we want to make sure we corrected that. And we did, with a cool sway bar in the back. Drive shafts are functional, front and back. And if you guys have not yet seen some of the videos, we've taken it off-road, and the video we're about to bring you guys, celebrating 100K, which went down pretty good. There's some party favors, involves this truck. So she's gonna be running good here, driving, taking it out for a cool ride, try to capture some content while we're out and about today. And then next up is Kryptonite to get out to the mud bog track. We got a little bit of testing done. We gotta get the hood back on it, get the motor sealed up. As you can see, we got the battery on charge, and she's gonna be ready to roll too. So just a little reminder on, you're gonna have to work on an old school truck, no more than I hate to have to work on them. Wasn't that bad of a job. We did have a fuel pump with us when we went on the trip with tools, of course. Got plenty of tools in the back, and we could have changed it on the side of the road. It didn't take me, I don't know, 15 minutes this morning after I found my fair share of tools that were scattered everywhere between the kids and projects and everything else. Also had to get my 80-year-old ladder that came from my grandfather out, but she still works. So you make do with what you got to do. There you go, guys. A little recap on a fuel pump replacement. Some might not care, but we find a lot of people really love following these videos about the Suburban, and it's been a good one. It's been a trooper. We've had very, very, very little issues. Power steering pump, some fuel lines, of course the lift kit, lots of mods to that. Four-wheel drive's functioning great. She's been a trooper. Davis Drives on YouTube. Thanks.